Well, they say in politics a lot can happen within a day, and this day has been a testimony to that. President-elect William Ruto holding the inaugural meeting with all elected Kenya Kwanza leaders. Azimio on the other hand, led by their presidential candidate Raila Odinga, insisting that they are going to pursue justice using political as well as legal means. IEBC chairperson, on the other hand, that is Wafula Chebukati, speaking for the first time since announcing the presidential election results. We have that plus much more ahead of this broadcast, but first, let's have a look at the highlights. Tonight,
I want to say that this afternoon to ask all of us as leaders in Kenya to learn from the people of Kenya who have settled on the issues. They now want us to deliver on the commitments.
Accept and move on. President-elect William Ruto tells Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga, urges him to respect the will of Kenyans. 4 IEBC commissioners were forcing a rerun, now says Wafula Chebukati.
Having consulted with my colleagues, the Ministry of Interior, and also having consulted widely, we know that there is absolute peace prevailing in the country as we speak now, and therefore there is no cause for alarm, even about our children.
And all is set for school reopening as Professor George Magoha assures learners that the school calendar will not be disrupted. Good evening once more and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Eric Munene. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Catherine Simaloi. Now, a day after Azimio One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga disputed William Ruto's declaration as president-elect, the coalition has moved in to consolidate its numbers across the region as they seek legal recourse. In a meeting with the coalition's elected leaders in Nairobi Wednesday, the Azimio One Kenya coalition has exuded confidence that they will emerge victorious in their impending presidential petition. Mike Kagwongo begins this broadcast tonight.
The move to control the 13th National Assembly has officially begun as both political coalitions are seeking to consolidate remaining members of parliament elected as independent candidates, as well as the 5 constituencies yet to hold elections. The 2 coalition parties are strengthening their muscles to have control of the 349 members of the National Assembly, where Azimio leads with 162 and Kenya Kwanza 159.
And they have approved the steps that we have decided to take as Azimio coalition.
Wiper leader Musioka called on unity even as the coalition chart the way forward to seek justice as they push to invalidate their move by Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati to declare William Ruto as president-elect.
We notice that since a statement by a presidential candidate yesterday, the whole world has its attention drawn on our wonderful republic, a country we all love, and a country that none of us is prepared to let go the wrong way.
With more than 25 political parties having joined the coalition, the fear is that the elected leaders from the affiliate parties might decamp to Kenya Kwanza alliance. More so that the fate of their quest for justice through legal and constitutional avenues might not be determined by the time MPs will have been sworn in and the House leadership will have been chosen. Given their control of numbers in the National Assembly and the Council of Governors, it will be key for Azimio One Kenya flag bearer Raila Odinga to maintain the control, whether he will be successful in the case for justice or not. While addressing the media at the KICC in Nairobi Wednesday, the coalition principals Raila Odinga, Musioka and running mate Martha Karua said their victory was just deferred.
And to stand together. In fact, we have happily sung the composition by our late brother Senator Kajwang, may God rest his soul in peace, that inji hii bado ni mapambano.
As we explore avenues, all legal and constitutional avenues, let everybody know victory is coming home.
The Azimio team has indicated that it will be heading to the Supreme Court to overturn President-elect William Ruto's win in the August 9th contest.
Hiyo mtajua hivi karibuni. Unajua lazima lawyers ndio wanaweza sema ni lini watakuwa ready kupeleka kesi kotini ama ni steps gani tutachukua.
On Tuesday, Odinga rejected the presidential results announced by Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati. On Monday, Odinga pointed out that the conduct of Chebukati to solely declare the results without the consensus of the rest of the commissioners was a setback to democracy, terming it a grave legal and political crisis.
The Senate, our competitors are up by 1, but the National Assembly we command. We must look and plan how we are going to execute our mandate.
The Azimio leaders also insinuated that they would use the parliamentary process to overturn Ruto's win.
The two coalition parties are contesting for the control of the 349 members of the National Assembly. This will enable them make comprehensive decisions during the parliamentary debates in the 13th Parliament. Mike Kagwango, TV 47 at the KICC, Nairobi.
Well, thank you for that, Mike Kagongo. Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga will be seeking to obtain another historic judgment from the Supreme Court following his intention to file a petition seeking to invalidate President-elect William Ruto's victory in the just concluded presidential polls. But what are Raila Odinga's options? Our reporter William Moige dissects through the ifs and buts. Have a look.
In 2017, the Supreme Court made a historic judgment overturning the victory of President Uhuru Kenyatta following a petition by Raila Odinga. And in the same way, during his first media appearance, Raila Odinga vowed to move to court in protest of the results announced by IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, which declared Deputy President William Ruto the president-elect.
President-elect to come forward and receive his certificate.
The focus now shifts to the Supreme Court if Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga keeps his word and files a petition in court. Now, after the declaration of the president-elect by the electoral body IEBC, Raila has only 7 days to file a petition at the Supreme Court.
Figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void and must be quashed by a court of law.
If a petition is then filed at the Supreme Court, it will be heard by a bench of 7 judges. The 7-judge bench comprises of Chief Justice Martha Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, Justice Mohamed Ibrahim, Smokin Wanjala, Njoki Ndongo, Isaac Lenaola, and William Ouko. 3 of the 7 judges nullified President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election in 2017. Lawyer Kamodho Iganjo, however, finds it a tall order for anyone planning to move to court to invalidate the recently announced presidential results in the 2022 presidential race.
From what one has seen up to now, what is on the public domain, I am not seeing any grounds that will invalidate a result. But maybe there are very substantive grounds that Azimio is keeping to itself and the 4 commissioners are keeping to themselves.
Further, Kamodho notes that the grounds to base any petition in 2022 will be different as that of 2017, where the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission was faulted in the 2017 Supreme Court ruling for failing to open the servers, whereas this time it placed all the Form 34As and Bs in a public portal accessible to anyone.
So right now we cannot argue about lack of transparency. The problem with 2017 was lack of transparency. There was a question of where did these results come from? On what basis did you verify? When you say you verify, what did you use? But right now it's very clear. You put up those documents and then you got the originals from the returning officers. That is how you verified.
Kamodho had this to say on the role of 4 commissioners led by IEBC Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera, Francis Wanderi, Justus Nyang'aya and Irene Masit, who in a dramatic move disowned the results minutes before the announcement by IEBC Chairperson Wafula Chebukati.
The commission cannot sit in majority and decide we don't like this result. And as a majority, even if it's all of them, we have rejected the result. That responsibility does not belong to the commission. But you see, the law, unfortunately, the law assumes good faith. The law does not assume that there can be a result which is not contested in terms of through the verification process, but which the commission then votes against.
If the presidential election results are challenged, the swearing-in will take place on the 7th day following the date on which the Supreme Court renders a decision declaring the election to be valid. If the Supreme Court nullifies the presidential results as witnessed in 2017, a fresh election will be held within 60 days. The focus now shifts on the basis of Raila's petition when he moves to the Supreme Court. Mwege William, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you for that, Mwege William. Now tonight, President-elect William Ruto has told Azimio la Umoja coalition leader Raila Odinga to respect Kenyans' choice in the just concluded general election and move on. Ruto, who chaired the first caucus of the Kenya Kwanza elected leaders at his current residence where he set the agenda for his administration, said he is ready to face Odinga at the Supreme Court because he believes in the rule of law. Apollo Kamau reports.
In the first inaugural caucus of Kenya Kwanza elected leaders, President-elect William Ruto set the agenda for his administration once he takes office, while using the current meeting to tell his main rival in the just concluded general election, Raila Odinga, to respect the will of the people and move on.
The people of Kenya have come to appreciate that there was an election, and they have come to appreciate that there were people who were chosen as leaders. There were others who were assigned other responsibilities. So I want to say that this afternoon to ask all of us as leaders in Kenya to learn from the people of Kenya who have settled on the issues. They now want us to deliver on the commitments that we gave the people of Kenya.
Ruto, who says he is ready to face Odinga in court, received the backing of his allies, who dismissed the Azimio petition as frivolous, while casting aspersions on the conduct of the 4 rebellious commissioners.
My advice to our old man, one of the foremost opposition leaders in this country, let's give the younger generation a chance to deliver on their promises. The people who stand to suffer most are the young people. And when we make them believe that it must be, and it must be a particular group of people that must lead, then that is wrong.
The ruling of 2017, to the effect that the results at the polling station are final, I think that will deal a final blow to the Azimio case.
Everyone always believes there's always a winner. But if you think that it must be you, or there's nothing, if it's not you, then you're already a loser. And for me, I don't see anything that is going to bar the president-elect from assuming office anytime.
Despite the anticipated legal challenge, the president-elect assured Kenyans and civil servants of a democratic government devoid of fear and intimidation, saying no more spying on phone calls.
We will not run government using blackmail.
Ruto setting the ball rolling on how his administration will look by saying civil servants will not participate in politics to allow government to deliver on its agenda, a departure from the current case where civil servants have taken sides in the political arena.
Members of the provincial administration, public servants will not be available to carry out political work for any political party. It is the only way we can have a government that delivers.
We justify the decision made by the people of Kenya against all odds, from the DCI, EACC, county commissioners, deputy county commissioners, chiefs, assistant chiefs. Yeah? I mean, we can't even believe it. I think this is a historic election where what had been mobilized has been brought to nothing.
The alliance received a boost in its push to control numerical strength in the 2 houses of parliament after 10 independent MPs formally joined the outfit. The alliance is already claiming a majority in the 2 houses, 163 MPs in the National Assembly and 24 in the Senate. Cabinet secretaries under the Kenya Kwanza administration will be answering questions from the floor of the House. Lobbying for key government and House leadership positions is in high gear as the alliance awaits Ruto's swearing in.
The only thing standing between the President-elect in properly assuming office is a Supreme Court petition informing what he says will be a democratic government free of intimidation and a culture of fear. Apul Kamau, TV47, at the Deputy President's official residence in Karen, Nairobi.
Well, moving on, IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati now says the 4 dissenting IEBC commissioners led by Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera were working to ensure that there is a rerun in the just concluded presidential polls. In a statement, Chebukati has urged Kenyans to interrogate the election results and make an impartial judgment. Stanley Nyaringita with more.
Kakamega and Mombasa residents will wait a little bit longer to elect their governors after the IEBC indefinitely postponed gubernatorial elections in the two counties. The elections were set to take place in Kakamega and Mombasa counties for the gubernatorial position. Residents of Kitui Rural Constituency, Kachiliba Constituency, Pokot South Constituency and Rongai Constituency were to also vote in the members of the National Assembly. The same day was to also see members of the county assembly aspirants in Nyaki West Ward, Meru County and Kwanjenga Ward in Nairobi County elect their leaders. In a statement sent to newsrooms, Chebukati noted that the decision was reached following the harassment of members and staff of the commission. Chebukati further called for the immediate arrest of the culprits who physically attacked him together with IBC CEO Marjan and Commissioner Professor Abdi Gulie during the announcement of the presidential results on Monday. On the 4 dissenting commissioners, Chebukati said they were forcing a rerun of the presidential polls, describing their behavior as uncalled for. Echoing his words, Kericho Senator-elect Aaron Cheruiyot questioned the motives of the commissioners.
History of how these commissioners came into office. These commissioners were single-handedly picked by Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. I say that because I'm a member of Parliamentary Service Commission. We are supposed to do the interviews. Instead of doing the interviews, the rest of the commissioners that we were serving in were called one morning and they were told to hand over the selection panel, and they were given names to propose. Those selection panel interview people, but the decision had already been made on who was going to be commissioner. So
the commission, through their statement, also clarified on the roles of the chairperson and commissioners in verification, tallying and declaration of the presidential results. IEBC has also strongly condemned the murder of Embakasi East Returning Officer Daniel Musioka and called on security agencies to bring the perpetrators to book. Stanley Nyaringita, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the High Court has quashed a directive by Chief Justice Martha Koome that sought to gag lawyers participating in a presidential petition from commenting on an ongoing presidential petition in public forums. High Court Judge Mugure Thande ruled that CJ Koome had no legal basis to gag lawyers, their clients and their agents from publicly predicting the outcome of an active presidential election petition. The ruling comes as the Azimio One Kenya coalition party prepares to file a petition that seeks to invalidate William Ruto's win in the presidential poll contest, as Waris Kimathi now tells us.
As Raila Odinga's campaign team prepares to move to court to contest the outcome of the Tuesday presidential election, the High Court has quashed an earlier Gazette notice issued by Chief Justice Martha Koome that gagged advocates and other participants of an ongoing presidential petition from making public comments on the case before it is concluded.
The lawyers were being told that once the hearing of the case begins in the Supreme Court, don't make comments that would prejudice the administration of justice until the decision is given.
In response to a petition filed by advocate Omwanza Ombati, High Court Judge Mugure Thande ruled that CJ Koome had no legal mandate to issue the gag order and that proper legal processes were not followed before the directive was gazetted. By amending an existing law on presidential petitions, the Chief Justice issued the gag order back in May in response to comments by some prominent lawyers on the Building Bridges Initiative petition at the Supreme Court. But how would Justice Koome's directive affect next week's presidential petition?
Because this is a high-stakes kind of like contest, sometimes the lawyers, instead of focusing their litigation efforts in court, they go outside court and start trying to manipulate the public interest. So the election petition rules were saying that if you do that, that can be treated as contempt of court and you will be eligible to certain penalties.
According to lawyer Charles Kanjama, Koome's directive would have prevented participating lawyers from speculating on the outcome of the case and even questioning the objectivity of the judges determining the case.
It's not a question of whether those attempts will succeed in influencing the court to decide in a certain way, but whether they will undermine the process of justice and even the understanding, for example, of the public about what the court has done.
Concerning the imminent petition against the presidential results by the Azimio One Kenya Alliance Party, Kanjama said that the minor KI case of 2017 will be an important point of reference by judges who will determine this year's presidential election petition.
So the reason that decision was being quoted is because it is authoritative and at the moment it is in effect unless the Supreme Court disagrees. But that decision has so many things it is saying. The people who quoted it were just quoting a section of the decision.
With CJ Koome's restrictions now removed, the presidential elections petition will likely be a major topic of discussion by Kenyans and lawyers on social media, similar to trends experienced during previous high-stake Supreme Court cases. Waris Kimathi, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services will cease its operations in October if the new government halts its operations. That is according to the Public Service Commission. The NMS's contract, which is also regarded as a deed of transfer, ends in October this year, with key services such as transport and health set to be returned to the Nairobi City County government. Flora Lemuki tells us more.
The Public Service Commission has developed a 9-point advisory brief on the transition to a new government. This is in accordance to its mandate as stipulated in the Constitution.
Is on a fit-for-purpose structure of a new government. Advisory number 2 is on recruitment and selection of principal secretaries. Exit of serving principal secretaries and safeguards for seamless continuity of service delivery. Advisory number 7 is on the management of the exiting cohort of advisors and other auxiliary personal staff.
The Commission further says that the Nairobi Metropolitan Services NMS functions will revert to City Hall should the deed of transfer not be renewed after it expires on 24th October this year. However, this is entirely dependent on the incoming government.
In case the deed of transfer is not renewed between the new county administration and the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, then as a Public Service Commission, we are giving an advisory based on the personnel staff that was seconded to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services back to the national government.
NMS was incorporated as a legal entity in March 2020, headed by Major General Mohamed Badi. Nairobi Governor-elect Johnson Sakaja has consistently opposed the NMS arrangement and vowed to halt its operations once it takes over the city. The advisory is meant to steer a smooth transition to the new government following the conclusion of the August 9th polls. Flora Limuki, TV47.
Well, thank you for that, Flora Lemuki. Now, at that juncture, it is important to note that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has indefinitely postponed elections in different elective seats that did not conduct elections in this year's general election. And one of those affected is the Mombasa gubernatorial role, and that is the reason why I'm joined by Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, who's one of the candidates in that particular race. Abdul Swamad Sharif, you can hear me. Good evening.
Yes, I can. Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm fine, Mheshimiwa. So what do you make of this postponement of the elections in Mombasa County by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission?
Total abuse of office by one individual. And I'm hoping, really hoping that the media are actually going to be reading and laying it out to the public what the act that governs IEBC say. It's very, very clear. Such decisions cannot be made by an individual. They have to be made by the commission. So first of all, we need to ask this question, whether the commission sat down and they got a quorum for them to make such a decision. Secondly, the Election Act is very clear as well, Article 55. It's instances where a postponement of an election can be is one in the event that there's a serious problem with peace. Secondly, if there's a natural disaster that has gone on. And thirdly, in the event at all there is a breach, a malpractice in how the elections were conducted. So you please tell me, first of all, in the first instance, which of those three clauses were the ones that caused them, other their own negligence? And then now in this instance, Mombasa has been so peaceful. There's been no incident at all, no violence. None of their staff have actually reported that, that they have been attacked or anything of that nature. And you just do it. They just do it without consulting, without doing anything. Ni kama ni, commission mali ya baba ya mtu, mama ya mtu. People are just doing it and thinking that everything will just go the way it is.
Mheshimiwa, you've cited some reasons there, and that's anchored on.
And I'm stating this categorically.
Mm-hmm.
This is only being done. Mark my words. This is being done. One, they purposely misprinted Kakamega and Mombasa because they knew these were Azimio strongholds. The elections they passed on 8th proved that the amount of people who have been able to win in Mombasa, close to 90% plus of all leaders who've been elected in Mombasa are Azimio. They knew that this was going to cause a problem in terms of turnout, and now they're trying to do this with that vivid imagination, a friction of their imagination coming out, hoping that the chosen person is the one who's going to be president and the Supreme Court is going to rule in their favor, so that now they're in power and then they can do these elections the way they want to do them. We're going to go to court. There's one person called Raila Odinga who sacrificed to make this constitution the way it is, so that we don't have Chebukatis out there trying to abuse power in this country.
Well, Mheshimiwa, you've said that it was deliberate that we have elections done separately in Mombasa and Kakamega, two strongholds of the Azimio One Kenya coalition, as you say. But looking at the numbers, the two coalitions, the two front runners, that is the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya as well as the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, seems to have almost an equal number of governors. Why the interest in Kakamega and Mombasa, according to you?
It's not even an issue of that alone. It was an issue of low turnout on those areas because of voter apathy, by the fact that there were not going to be any governors vying in those races. So in the process of them doing that, look at the difference that has been there between the two. In fact, that difference that is even being defied by us, that difference is so marginal. Do you know the impact that this would have had elections in Mombasa and Kakamega been done? They did this. This is so well choreographed. And they're hoping, of course, for their own personal interests,
Mm-hmm. Well, Mheshimiwa, you've cited some reasons.
And I'm insisting, listen,
Mm-hmm.
the commission has to be guided by law.
Yeah.
All right? The commission cannot just be guided by someone. When did they sit down? Are the minutes that they actually sat down and decided on postponing these elections? And they casually call these elections by-elections. These are not by-elections. These are part of the general election that you violated the constitution, Mr. Chebukati. You violated the constitution of this country. They are part of the general election. No one ever anticipated that we're going to have general election in different days in this country. Total negligence.
Well,
now the cause of this, people of Mombasa and Kakamega have to suffer.
Well, Mheshimiwa, you've cited some of the reasons that are in the law, reasons that would warrant such elections to be postponed indefinitely, but the Commission cites threats to its commissioners. In fact, sadly, one IEBC officer is dead as we speak right now. The Commission has cited such as the reasons why to that has been postponed indefinitely. Hold on, sir. You have talked about what the Constitution says, and I just wanted to know, don't you think such threats to the commissioners or to the IEBC staff would warrant such an important decision to be made, with or without a quorum?
First and foremost, we have a county returning officer who by law is the one who is set up to actually conduct these elections. The commission is only meant to facilitate them. If at all there was anything, any threat, which again, you know, these guys can just be able to do anything. If they can be able to postpone election twice, these guys are capable of doing anything, you know, even cook up this kind of things. Have you heard of anyone saying that anyone in Mombasa has been threatened? Have you heard violence going on in Mombasa? Please tell me which staff member in Mombasa. Their own employees in Mombasa were willing and ready, and they're actually prepared to conduct an election on Tuesday.
Mheshimiwa, do you feel that this postponement will cause voter apathy in those two areas, Kakamega and Mombasa?
I don't feel it, I know it. That is what they intend. It's not about me feeling, it's about me knowing. I've been in this industry long enough to know what it is that they're up to. They're making Kenyans lose faith in the whole electoral process. I don't even know how some of these people can actually eat and have a decent sleep, knowing very well they're denying millions of people their constitutional right.
Mheshimiwa, and finally, as we wind this up, you are a serious stakeholder in this. You are one of the main stakeholders in the elections that are going to be held when the IEBC will announce that. But has the Commission reached out to you officially? Because there are issues like campaign financing that are involved, and you are a stakeholder. Has the Commission reached to you or
they have never bothered. They have never bothered. They don't even have that audacity or the courtesy of saying that we need to call people and explain to them. They never did. As a matter of fact, I'm still perplexed. The last time that they asked for, they sanctioned a postponement of these elections, where they went ahead and said that they're being postponed for 2 weeks. Our competitors were already bragging that elections are being postponed 2 weeks before that announcement was formally done by IEBC. How did those people know before the media? That I'm assuming they've consulted and agreed with the other side. Time will tell, but I'll tell you what else time will tell. Time will tell that people are going to make their right choice. Frustrate us as much as you wish, but I'm telling you, we're firmly going to be strongly be in where we believe. And we're going to win these elections. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Well, thank you very much, sir, and all the best in your bid. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is one of the candidates in the Mombasa gubernatorial race, Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, reacting to the indefinite postponement of the gubernatorial election in that county. Time now for a very short break. Don't go away. We'll be back with more.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Usiyakubalie maumivu ya misuli kukatiza ratiba yako. Kaluma Pain Balm ni dawa ya kusugua iliyotengenezwa kutoka kwa miche maalum ili kutuliza maumivu ya misuli. Kaluma Pain Balm. Maumivu ya kizidi, Pata ushauri wa daktari.
Tracking your health records after a hospital visit can be stressful. This week's episode of Tech 47, we look at a digital platform that helps you store and monitor your health data directly from your phone.
We built AfriRecord as a digital healthcare platform in order to empower patients to have access to their health records.
This Saturday at 6:30 p.m.
Tricent School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, schools will reopen tomorrow as earlier stated, with Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha assuring learners of their security. According to Magoha, the school calendar will not be disrupted this term. And Rinkilemi with more.
Students from all basic institutions who had proceeded on the impromptu half-term break will resume learning tomorrow. This is according to Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, who assured parents and learners of security, despite the uncertainty experienced in the country following the just concluded general election.
Having consulted with my colleagues, the Ministry of Interior, and also having consulted widely, we know that there is absolute peace prevailing in the country as we speak now, and therefore there is no cause for alarm, even about our children.
The education boss further ruled out the possibility of shutting down schools in areas where elections were suspended. Magoha said the ministry would work with the election body IEBC to ensure tallying centers are stationed elsewhere and not in schools where learning would be interrupted.
If there's an election somewhere and it will take a day, we are not going to ask our children in boarding schools to go home again. It is far much wiser to ensure that the children who are in boarding school remain in boarding school and do other things and avoid the classrooms where the voting will be taking place. We shall also avoid working with IEBC, avoid them creating tallying centers where children perhaps are going to be using. For example, if a tallying center is supposed to be in a high school, we want to persuade them perhaps to shift the tallying center to another institution of higher learning, like a university, so that the children don't lose any more time as far as we are concerned.
Professor Magoha also confirmed that the Kenya National Examination Council had opened their portal for grade 6 learners to select junior secondary schools.
The portal is open. It was open on the 15th. It's supposed to go on until the 30th. Children are coming back tomorrow. There's total peace and tranquility. My own relatives are traveling from all over the country to go to where they are going. There's absolute security. You see chiefs and policemen all over. There's no reason for us not to move. So that portal that is open should remain open until the 30th. But I want to assure the general public that because of other issues that may happen as regards this period, should there be a reason for us to extend the opening date for that portal, that will be done either by my successor or my most humble self.
Over 1.2 million grade 6 learners are expected to transition to junior secondary schools in the over 10,487 junior secondary schools spread across the country. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Post-mortem results have now revealed that the slain IEBC official Daniel Musioka was tortured to death. And as Elizabeth Atieno now reports, a section of politicians has resorted to blame games as the investigation into the murder intensify.
The late 53-year-old Daniel Musioka sustained bruises on the legs and arm, and his stomach was bleeding profusely, hence leading to his tragic and unfortunate demise. This is according to Dr. Dorothy Njeru, a government pathologist who conducted the post-mortem examination on the body of Musioka. It all began on Thursday, the 11th of August this month, when the late Daniel Mbulu Musioka walked out of the East African School of Aviation Tarling Center at around 9:45 a.m. to make a phone call, and that's when he disappeared into thin air. The matter took a new twist on Monday, the 15th of August, when the intense search for the IEBC official led the investigating officers and the family to the thick bushes of Kilombero Forest in Oloitoktok, Kajiado County, where his badly mutilated body was found dumped in a nearby river. As the death puzzle behind the death of IEBC official continues to unfold, a section of politicians have since resorted to pointing fingers, each appearing to accuse the other of the murder.
Babu Owino and his team camped at the Tarling Center in 2 cars. Babu Owino official car, which was full of gun and machete, and a small car, Fielder, which was also full gun. The Fielder car is the one that was monitoring Mr. Musioka movements.
So the question is, when somebody dies, the first question you ask yourself, who would benefit from the death of this person? Nani ata benefit kutoka kwa kifo ya huyu mtu? It could be clear that this person died because of elections. So in this election, between me, the winner, and my opponent, the loser, who was going to benefit from the death? Would I kill a returning officer who was supposed to announce me as the winner of the elections?
Both Embakasi East Member of Parliament-elect Babu Owino and his main political rival Francis Mureithi believe that Musioka's murder was as a result of his role as a returning officer in the just concluded polls.
I would like to invite the DCI to take the first suspect. The first suspect who issued a statement this morning concerning the death of the returning officer.
I've not recorded this statement with the police because it was a media statement. But if the police require me to do so, I will do so. And the reason why I came public is because the Embakasi police people, led by the OSPD, if they acted and they protected Mr. Musioka could be alive.
The relatives of the slain IABC official insist that their king was an honest man with no enemies and did not deserve to die such a tragic death.
It is now 2 days since the lifeless body of Embakasi East constituency returning officer Daniel Musioka was found in Oloitoktok area, Kajiado County. And as a section of politicians and the civil society group amplified their voices to call for justice, questions continue to abound as to what or who killed the IEBC official. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47 from Utawala, Embakasi East constituency, Nairobi.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome to The Grind. My name is Violet Njoki.
At first, it's always a tedious process at the beginning.
Do you know what it takes to even stay at a place in a business for that long?
Yeah.
So that triggered me, and I woke up and I was back onto my feet and I got new energy. Yes.
Every Monday at 7:30 p.m.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We do apologize for that slight technical hitch. Now, religious leaders in the country have called on Kenyans to remain calm and maintain peace. According to the leaders, they have met with the President-elect William Ruto and are expected to meet with Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga, as well as President Uhuru Kenyatta, in a bid to establish a better working environment during this transition period. Cheptoboit with the details.
The Inter-Religious Leaders Forum has called on Kenyans to remain calm and maintain peace. The religious leaders, drawn from different faiths in the country, now say they have reached out to President-elect William Ruto and disclosed that they are set to meet Azimio leader Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta in a bid to steer a working relationship during this transition period.
We have this morning had a fellowship to meet the President-elect, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto. We are in the process of meeting the Right Honorable Odinga and His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta. It is our hope and prayer that this engagement will promote justice, peace and prosperity.
We already met with the Deputy President, who is now President-elect, in terms of engaging with him just to hear his thoughts on how is he going to bring and promote peace and cohesion in our country that is obviously divided 50-50 if the election results are to be understood.
According to the clergy, they are working closely with the IEBC commissioners to establish a platform that they say will end the standoff among the commissioners.
We recognize the centrality of the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, in a political process as enshrined in our Constitution and the laws of Kenya. We as religious leaders are concerned with apparent disunity among the commissioners. We have in this regard reached out to the commissioners with them as we pray with them and listen with them to a view of finding out amicable way of going forward.
We further call upon all Kenyans to embrace peace and national cohesion. As Kenyans, we have committed ourselves to be guided by the rule of law and should not allow the electoral process to divide us. We especially commend President-elect His Excellency Dr. William Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga for choosing the path of peace in their pronouncements.
Further, the religious leaders have called on security agencies to speed up investigation and bring to book culprits responsible for the death of slain Embakasi East returning officer Duncan Musioka. In a bid to ensure peace prevails in the country, Kenyans have been urged to keep praying to ensure justice and national cohesion prevails in the country. Cheptoboit, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, Alexander Munyi Mundigi's name does not ring a bell to many Kenyans, but this name will become common in your households henceforward after the simple farmer from Embu clinched the Embu senatorial seat. Fresh from the farm, Mundigi trounced big names such as former Governor Martin Wambora and former youth PS to clinch the seat. Modoni Maina has more.
Alexander Munyi Mundigi, famously known as Kava Mundigi Tonaga, is one of the open book folk tale that has sprouted in Embu County following the decision of the citizenry in the August 9 polls. Mundigi was born in Kiari village, Mbere South, and having dusted his way up to clinch the senatorial position, his journey was of absolute discord.
Wakati nilikuwa mdogo kwetu hakuwa na chochote, pia nilikuwa nimeajiriwa kuvuga mbuzi, pia nimeteseka kwa muda mrefu, ndio unaona hata sikusoma vizuri, lakini nilisoma kutoka standard 1 mpaka standard 8 kwa primary school.
Despite the tribulations he and his siblings had to get their hands dirty to quench their thirst for education that would help them clinch or dine with the elite, as they pretty much believed that the future would brighten up for them. them. Later on, after completing the first phase of education, his sister opted to drop out of school to fend for the family and was quite hopeful that it would not be the end of the speculated journey.
Wakati nilikuwa nasoma, pia tulikuwa nafukuzwa shule kwa sababu baba yangu alikuwa bibi wawili, na pia ile masomo nilisoma kidogo, nilikuwa sister yangu ameanjiliwa kuwa kama ni mindi.
Since time waits for no man, Mundigi opted to stamp his feet in the political ground in 2006. He did not vie, though. He familiarized himself with the murky waters of politics. In 2022, the ambitious Mundigi, without a coin in his pocket to expensively launch his campaigns, had only his spouse and the people whom he depended on to take him up the pedestal, where he triumphed over former youth PS Lilian Mbogo, university lecturer Dr. Frida Karani, and incumbent Senator Njeru Ndwiga without an iota of remorse.
Siasa yangu ndaika mwisho kwa sababu mnakumbuka hata sikuwa na pesa ya kuriba birogas. Ikawa iko na shinda, watu wanitusi, kwa nini huyu atatusaidia, kwa sababu amekuwa hata yeye ndiye anatuma posta zake. Sasa wakati huo watu wa media walikuja wakanitafuta, kwa bila usinjari tutakusaidia bila kutoa kitu chochote.
If we were doing the elections, if it wasn't for the backup of the media, I am sure things would not have worked so fast.
Mundigi promises to deliver his promises to the people of Embu County as he awaits to be sworn in. Mundigi holds a degree in theology and is a father of 5 children, that is 3 girls and 2 boys. Muthoni Maina, TV 47.
Quite an inspiring story there from Embu County. Now, to the latest in the world of business, Samsung has today announced the next generation of groundbreaking foldable smartphones that continuously seek to deliver new, impactful interactions to its customers. The Galaxy Z Flip 4 and Galaxy Z Fold 4 both have an upgraded camera experience, larger battery life, expanded customization such as its new shape-shifting design and powerful mobile processors, which offer its users a comprehensive smartphone experience. Now, speaking during the launch, the head of the mobile experience business at Samsung Electronics, Dr. Tim Ross, said that the launch of the foldable devices are aimed at offering an unparalleled mobile experience that will meet the needs of their dynamic users.
Is purely to communicate to the world that we have produced again, or we have brought to the market improved versions, more technology, and better to use products than before to the market. And I must say these are some of the 2 most improved devices compared to the previous versions in terms of ease of use, in terms of weight of the devices, in terms of battery longevity, in terms of camera upgrade, which is real life to the eye, and quite a number of improvements in terms of durability, style, color, elegance, and this applies to both the Fold and the Flip.
Welcome to the world of sports. Now, basketball is a game that is rarely embraced in Nairobi Eastlands. But in Umoja Estate, the basketball coaches use it not only to help the youth develop skills, but also create opportunities for them. Our sports reporter Duncan Mutua visited the area and prepared the following story.
Basketball, one of the sports that is not embraced in Nairobi Eastlands areas, but in Nairobi Umoja Estate, it's more than just a game. It's a breakthrough to the youth's bright future. Early in the morning, and we meet Coach Martin Okwako. He is a coach at Elite Sports Africa Basketball Academy, and he has been coaching children and youth in Umoja Estate since the year 2007. Apart from coaching, Coach Okwako tells us that basketball has opened opportunities for the youth in Eastlands areas, among them education scholarships.
Manufaa zile ziko hapa, tumeona watoto wamefaidika kiafya na kujepuka pia na mambo kama miadarati, usherati na uwizi. So sisi tuko hapa kiwanjani, tunaona ni kitu ya maana sana kwa mtaa yetu.
Speaking to TV47, parents in Umoja Estate expressed their excitement as they lauded coaches who are working hard to ensure that not only the game has been embraced but also has created education opportunity to the youth. They acknowledge basketball has been very instrumental in curbing drug abuse among the youth.
Hawa watoto tangu coach Mato na Jose kuja kwa hii kiwanja tumepata maendeleo, kwa sababu watoto hawarandarandi, hawatoki hapa, wakiamka asubuhi wanakuja basketball, wanafunzwa, na kuna wenye mpaka wanaenda high school through basketball.
I can say discipline wise, the children are disciplined, even the parents are happy about the discipline and everything, and all I can say, the children are enjoying. So at least you are giving them something to do over the holidays. They are busy. When they are needed in the house, they are there in the house, because we normally do from 6. From 6, the children are back in the house at least.
As the coaches continue to train and discover talents, the female gender is not left behind. The creation of Umoja Area Ladies League has ensured women in the area participate in the hedge as much as their male counterpart.
Tukuna ligi ya wanawake na pia tukuna ligi ya wavulana. So kwa naweza sema 45% ni wasichana kwenye programu yetu.
Coaches here have something to brag about, as some of the top basketball players have passed through their hands. Among them, Kenya basketball national team, Kenya Morans captain Eric Mtoro, who plays for Ulinzi Warriors, Christian Eranzi of United States of America, Frank Ogola and Oliver Krekezi, who will be heading to United States this coming month, as many of the players keep gracing Kenya Basketball Premier League with different top flights clubs. Coach Okwako urged the parents to introduce their children to the different sporting activities in order to ensure that there is development of sports in Eastlands area of Nairobi, and he is ready